Welcome to the Founders Odyssey podcast, where we inspire, educate, and create a supportive community for founders to thrive. My name is Nathan Bird, and I will be your host today. We have a startup rock star, literally, on the show today. With over 40 years of experience in the startup community, Jeff Erickson is an absolute wealth of knowledge. With his experience of being a founder, advisor, investor, and a spark plug to connecting so many people together, Jeff has and is certainly leaving an impact on this earth. Jeff is an experienced entrepreneur and was the founder of and CEO of a successful consumer goods company that had rapidly grew from 1 million in sales in its first year to over 40 million in annual revenue in its fourth year of operation, and was ranked 138 on the Inc.'s 500 list of fastest growing companies. With his current work at Carta, a leading software company, he is helping companies, investors, and founders manage their equity, creating more confidence and clarity for them. His work in the startup industry will be remembered for decades, and we cannot wait to learn more about you today, my friend. Welcome to the show.
Oh man, Nathan, thank you for that intro. That is makes me sound way better than I am. So thank you.
Well, look, we must give respect where respect is due. I've said that before on the show, but it's truly an honor to have you present. And I know that there are a lot of founders out there, a lot of company, executives and things like that are needing guidance. They're needing mentorship. And I know that is exactly what you provide, as well as capital, which I'm excited to talk a little bit about your investment thesis, kind of your background within investments. But let's just take it all the way back. And what got you started in just business in general? And, basically being a guitarist, you have to understand a little bit more about engineering as well. So talk to us a little bit about business.
Yeah, awesome. I am just thrilled to be here and again, appreciate you inviting me. My entry into business was probably through my dad, who was a partner at one of the big four accounting firms. I knew I didn't want to necessarily go into accounting, but the business world fascinated me. And as I graduated from college, I ended up graduating in finance with an MBA from the University of Utah, and ended up at an investment company and spent 4 years there doing investments, and got a little exposure to kind of the startup space. But one of the partners there ended up leaving to go to a startup and took me with him. And so I was like employee like number 15 at this new startup. And we ended up raising a few rounds of funding and got to grow with that company, and just fell in love with the atmosphere. And that was kind of my entry and introduction into startups. So that obviously led to other things down the road, including the company that my wife actually started and I helped her raise some capital for.
Let's talk about atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
There's atmosphere in athletics, there's atmosphere within your work, there's atmosphere within your family. And I'd like to talk about the atmosphere of the startup world and how it's so intriguing to a lot of people. And, when did you have the bug? I mean, it sounded like you had it right when you moved from that one location to the next, but what is that atmosphere that you like so much?
Yeah, I think there's an energy that comes with entrepreneurship. It's that whole mentality of ownership, where you're not just going and doing a job that pays you, but you're making a difference, and you've got a vision that's part of something bigger than yourself. That seems to be kind of what founders thrive on. And I think if you can get that from just being with the founder and to permeate throughout an entire organization, that becomes really powerful. And that's what I noticed when I went to this startup company early on. I noticed that everybody was on the same page, because we all had stock in the company and these visions of we're going to make this work. And there were no hours. I mean, it was like everybody was always on, and that can be a bad thing, but it can also be very energizing and powerful. And there has to be a balance. So you do run into some challenges with that, especially for the founder, who sometimes it's hard to turn off. But at the same time, there's that energy that it's very different from just doing showing up to work at 9 and leaving at 5 and not really being that engaged, I guess.
Well, as everyone has to have a why that's very firmly rooted. And like you're saying here is there are founders out there that all they care about is making an impact and making a difference. And you've noticed over time, those that have created the most impact for the world have really created a lot of income, not only for themselves, but for others. So, let's talk a little bit about your, personal impact that you're currently making, but also the reasons why you're really been someone who's alongside of founders. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. It's something that has evolved over time. I think early on, when you join an early company, sometimes it becomes about, oh, we're going to IPO and make tons of money and things are great. As you step into the founder's mindset, I love what you said, that you have to have a why. There has to be something bigger than just making money. What are you doing to make a difference in the lives of others or in society in general? That has to be the key driver, because if it's all just about money, there's a lot of ups and downs and roller coasters, along the startup path. And in order to persevere through all that, you really need a leader that is committed and saying, we're going to make this because we are, people are depending on us and we want to make a difference in the world. So it's just a bigger why, like you said.
Let's talk about the leaders that you know in your life and the leaders that have that sense of commitment that is so deeply rooted that they'll go through anything. Do you know anyone like that?
Yeah, it seems like every founder that I work with, that's one of the things that really attracts me to the space, is there's this mentality of, there's something bigger than me, and, I want to make a difference. And so, I think of, there's a founder I just recently invested in, and she's phenomenal and has this mission to help others in the mental health space. And she's had to pivot numerous times, but this underlying, desire to help more people is just so evident in when you look for early stage founders. That's kind of what you look for. Is there something that they are passionate about, and so passionate about that they will, break down barriers and climb over walls or knock down walls in order to make it happen, because they're so passionate about it. And I think that's what makes the best founders.
So let's back it up and let's take it back to when you were a little bit younger and you started to see things around you, and it started to have you question. And then also it was basically an injection of, this question of like, how do I make impact, and what are the people around me and what are they doing? And, who was Jeff back then, and how are you influenced by, those people?
Yeah, good question. I think early on, when I think of my career, I think of the importance of having a solid mentor that really cares about your progress and your development. And I found that early on in actually a sales role. I had a mentor at this early stage company that really kind of took me under his wing and said, hey, I see some real potential in you, and let me help tap into that. And it was really took somebody seeing something in me that I didn't see myself and saying, hey, let's get there. And so that's what I love to do with founders. I love to see, okay, what's the potential here that they might not see in themselves right now. And I think if you can get there, that's what, you start to do things that become rewarding internally, and it starts to, build you as a person and make it so you can be more impactful for others as well.
That's so good. I know there's a book by John C. Maxwell. He's an author, and he's got it's the Leadership 101, and one of the segments in there was about belief and belief in others. And when you believe in others, you unlock their unlimited potential. And I would say to everyone out there, when you either believe in others or you believe in yourself, it can and truly unlock your limited potential to become a better person. And, that's what Jeff here is saying. But sometimes you just need that accountability partner that really walks through life with you, that holds you to a higher standard. And, that's what Jeff here is letting you guys know is so important. So let's move on to, you're in that stage where you're building that first company. And let's talk about when you're in the trenches, though, when you're trying to build that relationship, because within team performance, there's always storming, norming, and then performing in sports psychology. So how do you create an environment that will help to create the performance aspect of a company?
Yeah, great question. And honestly, I think it kind of goes back to the why, like you said. And if you can get others on the team to discover the why and build the team around that, I think that becomes very powerful. For example, when my wife created this company, Uppercase Living, it was a vinyl lettering company. And you think, okay, how boring is that? You're putting, words and things like that on walls. But what we really discovered was we were actually making a difference in people's lives through inspiration, providing whether it's a scriptural passage or a motivational saying or something that they see every single day that they design themselves, can be really empowering. And as we started to figure out what is the why, what is driving this, why do we want to do this? It really came down to, we want to uplift, inspire, and bless the lives of other people on a daily basis. And that's something people could get behind. It's like, we're doing good in the world and what we're doing matters. And then you'd start getting reinforcement from that. And even our customer support team would hear these stories about, oh my gosh, I was having the worst day, or this happened, and I saw this saying on my wall that I purchased through Uppercase Living, and it just changed my life. And you start hearing things like that, and everybody buys into the mission that we're doing something important that is having an impact. And I think if you can build the team around that, that's where you get strong teams, where it's, again, much more than just coming to a job and doing a job. You're actually bought into a mission.
No, that's important. And I know, there's a lot of companies out there. You could say, like the bricklayer, what does the bricklayer do? Well, you can look at it as the bricklayer that's only laying a single brick, and, he just does it to get paid, right? And that story where
Yep.
the bricklayer gets asked, well, what are you building here? And one says, oh, just one brick. And then the other says, the world's largest building, right? For example. So it's all about perspective on how people look and see that. And I'm happy that you've just hit on that, because you can have something that quote unquote is insignificant, but then you put significance behind it and you can really change the world.
Yep, you're exactly right. And a lot of it has to do with the management team. So if you've got a management team that buys into the vision and can inspire and help the rest of the team to also adopt that vision and see what you're doing together and accomplishing, that's where you can really have a powerful team. And so your managers have to also be able to buy into the vision and be able to be advocates and kind of evangelists for the mission of what you're accomplishing together.
Sounds like we're talking a lot about culture here, and I'd like to dig a little bit deeper, because that will then get us into your desire and your excitement around sales and creating that culture, right? So within that organization that you and your wife ran, your what type of culture would you say that you guys had built? And, was there anything that ever swayed back and forth in that culture, or did it stay pretty steady?
Complete roller coaster. So not steady. I'm sure every founder can relate that it's not just a straight line and it's not all perfect. Just you get on a path and just, head straight somewhere. It is all over the place, and the culture definitely had its great times and its challenging times. And looking back, a lot of that had to do with where the management team was at different times. And so, culture's not, I think it can be set at the beginning, but it has to be maintained and reinforced constantly. It's not something you just set and then it goes in motion. It's a constant work in progress. And if you start to let it slip, it can have real negative consequences.
Well, and it's so funny that you even look from a personal standpoint, right? So if you let yourself slip, you eat, like a whole bag of chips. Well, that's fine if you just eat a bag of chips for like one day. But if you eat a bag of chips every night, you're going to be extra, you're going to have some extra weight, right?
Right.
Same thing with a company culture. If you let, Cindy over there do what she shouldn't do, and then, right. So I like the way that you're saying that, and then, bringing it back to your mission, vision, and where you're going, right? So that's where a 3 to 5 year plan is so important. For everybody out there, if you guys don't have, you've got to break it down 1, 3, and 5. But if you don't have that, get that down. Sales excitement. I think this is something I really wanted to touch on, because it seems that within any organization, there's always certain things that are lacking, right? So there's, whether it be finance, whether it be sales, whether it be marketing, whether it be supply chain, all of that. But sales is a really huge key. Now let's dive into that a little bit more. Let's break down your whole philosophy on what sales is.
Yeah, great question. When I think of sales, I think, and this is my approach, is helping. It all comes back to helping the customer and solving problems for someone else. And there's a discovery process. So first, it's discovering what are the problems or pain points that your potential customers might have, and it's got to start there, because if you have a solution that doesn't solve a pain point, then it's not worth going down that path. And I think too many people jump into sales and they think of the used car salesman like, I'm going to sell this car no matter what, even though I know it's not the right fit. And that is so different than what sales should be. And I wish more people realize that you're actually a problem solver and a helper of others as a salesperson. And so I see it as you become an advocate for your potential clients, and to see if there's a way that you can help them. I love Carta's mantra of always be helpful. So if there's a way that you can be helpful, then do that. As a salesperson, that's the best thing you can do. Find a way that you can be helpful. Even if it's not your product, building those relationships is what sales is all about. If you can be helpful for someone, they want to, they want to do business with you. And if you can't, then maybe you can do business down the road in another scenario. But I see sales more as relationship building and seeing if there's a fit, kind of that discovery of whether there's a fit for what you can do to provide benefit to what the needs are of potential customers. And if there's a fit, fantastic. You've got a great potential partnership now that you can form.
Yeah, I remember you're saying to fit. I remember I used to sell cell phones at T-Mobile in one of those little kiosks where, it was high volume, right? So we had to get them, and then we had to keep them in the area. So there's quite a bit there, but we had something called the Right Fit Guide. And the Right Fit Guide was really something that, literally guided us down a process. For me, I wasn't much of a process kind of guy, because I just wanted to understand who this person was, what their needs were, and then how I could really, like you're saying, align their vision with your help? Like, how can you help them get their vision into reality? And I like what you're saying there is just align with their need and then serve their need to the best of your ability, by discovering the process. And I think more people need to understand that with sales, certainly, because look, you're selling yourself all the time. You're selling, whatever product or service it is, right? But having that proper perception is very important. So let's talk about dojo sales. I've been seeing it all over. I know you're excited about it. We're just on the sales topic, so let's sell me on dojo.
Okay, first off, Dojo is my son's company. I helped Jaron create this company, and honestly, it came out of his experience going to school. And he was going to college and got into this space where he's like, I'm paying for these courses and I'm not sure if I'm really interested in them. I'm going to take a break and I'm going to go join a tech company. So he went and joined a tech company while he was doing school on the side. And after about 3 months, he got in as a sales rep, an SDR, sales development rep. Entry-level position, didn't know anything about technology, didn't know anything about the company really, and got in and started selling. Well, within 3 months, he got promoted from just figuring out that, hey, I can actually do this. And then another 3 to 6 months, he gets promoted again. And pretty soon, he's in a spot where he's hiring people that have graduated from college and have 3 kids, and he's hiring them. And he's like, okay, I haven't even finished college yet, and I feel like I've learned so much. I told him, I said, Jaron, you have learned more in a year and a half at this tech company than I learned in my MBA program in a lot of ways, because he went through the process of having a good manager, a kind of poor manager, and a phenomenal manager. He saw all 3, and he learned through that process how to be a great manager, what he would do, what he wouldn't do, how he would mentor and help others. Well, that's where this idea of dojo came from, is that, we could get anybody off the street that's working an hour for an hourly wage and basically change their life in a program by teaching them the skills to get in as an SDR. So again, most people are going to look at, I've got this fast growing tech company that there's no way I would qualify to be able to get in there. I'm working at Chick-fil-A or somewhere, and it says I need SaaS experience. I don't even know what SaaS is. I need to know Salesforce, outreach, all these programs, and I don't know any of this, so there's no way I would ever apply. Well, Jaron's found a way to tap into, particularly focused on underserved markets, where it's women or minorities, that we can pull out, where companies are looking to diversify their sales team, and we can train them in a 4-week program and get them the confidence that they need to realize that they can do this. And to see these students, and I've had the privilege of mentoring several now that have gone through the program, and you see where they start, where they're like, man, I don't know if I can do this, to, 3 weeks in, and they're like, I can totally do this. It's like, set me up with some interviews. I cannot wait to get started. And you just see this transformation, and it becomes life-changing, because these companies are fast growing, so tons of career opportunity. They are also, they have phenomenal benefits, because a lot of them have raised a lot of capital. They treat their employees extremely well, and they pay very well also. And so it just becomes life-changing for people as they see that they can, do something that they thought that they could never get into.
There's a lot I've heard there. And, number one, Jaron went through a process, right? I think every founder out there is in a process. 2, he noticed the need, right? And there's got to be problems that people are looking for in the industry. In whatever industry you're in out there, you've got to continue to look for those problems. And then you've got to come up with a solution that is, easily understood to the people in the market that you want to serve. And then you have a system put in place to have an end result that company will need. And, that's what I've gotten from you now with what you guys have created and the system. I think it's even better than recruiting, because hey, look, a recruiter they have to recruit these people that already have, and then they place them. Well, you guys are teaching and then placing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I would say that's a better way.
Well,
And,
not only that, you also see on the company side that you're providing value for the companies, because a lot of times companies are looking for these entry-level sales positions. And, it's an interesting space because you can't go poach the SDRs from other companies, because normally your best SDRs are getting promoted to managers or account executives fairly rapidly. And so if you're going to poach your SDRs from other companies, you're probably getting the ones that haven't done as well. And so you're always looking for new talent. And what Dojo's doing is helping these individuals, one, gain the talent and some experience, but also it's helping them create a mindset of, here's what you do as an SDR. And so as companies hire from Dojo, they're getting this person that's already, they already have the mindset and they know what they're going to be doing. So the risk of attrition, of just taking a gamble on somebody that doesn't quite know what they're getting into, is way less than just picking up somebody off the street.
Yeah. Well, I like that. And, I'm excited for you guys to grow. And I know that the ceiling is, it's the sky's the ceiling, really. Or how about the moon is the ceiling for that one? But, we're excited for you with that growth. And really, you're just serving a need in the industry, which once again is good. Let's talk a little bit about investments and from your standpoint, because you have experience in finance. And, for those out there, we want this to be not only an educational, inspirational, but also a supportive community. So let's support our founders out there with information that would help them invest in the correct businesses, right? So how do you make your investments? And, do you have a thesis of some sort that you go through a list? Let's talk through that.
Yeah. I've recently gotten pretty active in angel investing. Part of that is because I've been in the space. I see a lot of founders. I work with a lot. I serve on several advisory boards for startup companies. And I have a passion for founders at the early stages. And so my investment thesis would probably be earlier stage founders. So kind of the seed, pre-seed, maybe Series A companies. And at those stages, you're really looking for lack of a better term, founder market fit more than anything. Is this founder the one to take this opportunity and make it a reality? And honestly, that's one of the things I love about early stage angel investing is you get to know the founders and you're betting on the founder rather than even a product or a idea and all of this. Because ultimately as a founder, you're looking for somebody that's going to be able to pivot. And when things get hard, they're going to persevere through it, and they're going to figure out ways to make it work. They're going to be innovative and know how to adapt to changes and just make things work. There's also that side of execution. Is this a founder, a founding team that can execute on a plan that they've created? And that the likelihood that plan that they've put in place is probably not 100% accurate. It's going to have to change. And you might invest in this company that you think is going one direction, and you get into it, 6 months, and they've noticed the market need is a little bit different, and they have to tweak it and pivot. And there are times where you're investing in a company, you think it's going one way, and the founders go, you know what, this is what we found. And they pivot and go a different direction. But it's the right direction because they're getting feedback and and adjusting to that. And those are the types of founders I love to be able to invest in and support.
Yeah, it's like a blank canvas, really. Of course, they're subject matter experts in what they do, but you can also help them become better people. And, this is so important that for those that are listening here, when you become a better person, your business becomes a better business. I think so many people will overlook the fact of their technical skill sets, but then there's also this other side to you where your interpersonal communications, your patience with your founders, your communication, like all these things that are really secondary to you, whether Jeff, you can sell the heck out of something, but are you someone that I want on my team?
Right.
Are you somebody, you can be the world's best coder, you can be the word, but it's like, man, I'm really having trouble with you. So, I've seen that to be true in my own career and throughout, other people's businesses. It's just when you start developing yourself, right? Self-development is so important. Then having those mentors, like you said, that come alongside you, that believe in you to unlock the unlimited potential for a future that you want to see. And, that's one thing that I really enjoyed with you, just coming alongside and we once again want to thank you so much for being on the show. Let's talk about future real quick, and let's talk about what is exciting you for the future and also for the impact that you want to leave on this earth.
Oh man. Okay, well, good timing on the future conversation here. I've been at Carta, which is a phenomenal company in the startup space for the past 4+ years. And I'm actually in the middle of a transition, heading to a new company called Forecaster that's also in that space of working with early stage founders. Excited to jump on board with Forecaster. We'll be helping founders model out their financial projections in a way that is, they can present to investors, but also understand it. So getting them where their, financial projections are out of Excel, they're taking it out of Excel and putting it into this platform that helps them to be able to create the forecast, but manage it and be held accountable to it, and then tweak it as necessary. So excited about that. That's kind of on the short-term horizon. Obviously, super excited about Dojo and what Jaron's doing there. Love to continue to support him in that. The other thing that I've done is kind of a passion project is put together something called the Startup Stack. It's at mystartupstack.com, but it's a platform specifically for early stage founders where we've gathered the best perks and discounts, a lot of free things that are available in the marketplace for early stage founders. And I think there's over $170,000 worth of perks in that on the Startup Stack now. And we continue to grow. And we just added some new partners just recently. And so that's one thing I would love to leave my mark on, helping founders. And whether it's through the Startup Stack or through serving on advisory boards or, just one-on-one mentoring with founders. That's my passion. That's what I love doing. And, when people talk about retirement, I'm like, this is something I'll do way beyond retirement. I can't imagine retiring and not having something to do, but it's something that I envision I will continue to do just out of the love for the space.
Well, man, I too am enthused about your future here and the excitement that you exude. I've taken a look at majority of your startups here with even the Startup Stack, and that looks like a great thing and a great tool for those out there that are listening to this. So definitely take a look at that. And we just want to thank you once again, Jeff, for spending time here on the Founders Odyssey podcast, where we educate, inspire, and create a supportive community for you founders out there. If you guys have liked today's episode, feel free to subscribe to the podcast as well as share it with your friends. And until next time, listen to some of the other podcasts that we have, and we cannot wait to see you again.